Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we are checking out the Ready to Be album from Twice, and I am so excited. I've been waiting all day to listen to this album. My first listen through of a Twice album, and it was on a day where there were just thunderstorms, which were not only obnoxiously loud, but also were making my power flicker in and out. So I have been cursing the weather all day because I just want to sit down and listen to this album. So I'm super excited. I've already heard the first two tracks, so Set Me Free and Moonlight Sunrise. Yes. No, I don't know why that name trips me out, but it does. I've already listened to those two, so those are already on the channel if you want to check them out, but we're going to be listening to the next 4 tracks on this, and I'm super excited because the first 2 tracks that they put out as singles are very different, both sonically, but also I feel in terms of subject matter. I don't know, apparently I didn't know what Moonlight Sunrise was about, so that went way over my head what they were actually talking about, so I don't know. Look, obviously my brain isn't in the best place, but we're gonna do this anyway. We'll eventually get into the groove of things, so let's check out the 3rd track on the album, but the first track for this reaction. Okay, first track. I was not expecting that guitar. Hold up. I'm okay. It almost has a Western feel to it. Am I crazy? Maybe. Before we get into the chorus, I feel I just a really concentrated face because I don't my brain is trying to make sense of it. So it's mostly sonically. Lyrically, I feel I kind of get the feeling of it. But the sonic side of it, my brain is tripping out a little bit. I think part of it is the layers of the synths, which is just there are a bunch of little sounds happening in the back, but then also the choice of their vocal melodies is tripping me up a bit. And I mean that in a great way. Anything that makes my brain go, hang on a second, is good in my book, okay? I want a song that makes my brain have to think about all of the different things that are going on. The vocal melodies are just an odd choice to me. This is a good bass. We like thinky bass. Ooh. The way the production just went out. There's just so many things. I feel I'm just sitting here with the most concentrated face because my brain is trying to pull apart all of the things. I love the way that it pulled out for that pre-chorus with the production, and we kind of had this swell. There's almost this feeling of I don't know how to fully describe it, stomping? Does that feel a weird way of describing it? But there's this feeling of almost I don't know, collective rhythm, right? Because when I think of stomping in the sense of I'm not going to describe this well, but you know what I mean? A group of people, almost like a stadium. I say this as someone who does not do sports things, but it feels like a sports thing. What do people do in stadiums to show camaraderie between them and that they like a team? I don't know. I'm not a sports person. It has that kind of feeling to it of this collective energy, I guess, of a bunch of people moving to this really heavy percussion, the kind of euphoria of that moment of being in a crowd of people, but it's making my brain fizzle out a little bit. I think because there's so much happening that my brain is trying to pick out all of the things at once, and my brain gets overwhelmed very easily, so I think that's why I'm just sitting here with a concentration, because I'm trying to pick apart all the things and I need to just take a deep breath and relax. I like the handoff with the vocals too. Oh, that was fun. The like kind of like build up with that like got repeated. That was cute. This is probably so much fun to see live. I love that overlap. Like they're doing so many cool things with the overlapping of the vocals, which I think is really cool. Like them like passing things off almost like a call and response, but not quite that like simplistic, I guess, in the structure, which is very interesting. I don't know. I feel like this is a song that like I am definitely gonna have to hear a bunch of times because it's fizzling my brain out a little bit. I like the clap and the percussion. Ugh. I'm trying to like pay attention to the lyrics now because I feel like my brain was so focused on the production and the vocals and stuff like that. I feel like I don't need to dig maybe as deep into the lyrics of this one because I feel like it is more about like the feeling of the song. And I think that that's why it stuck out to me so much is that it feels like this collective celebration. And I think that that's like a really important thing to kind of focus in on. Like not that the lyrics don't matter, but that it's not about like having like super intricate storytelling because it's about like this is what we're feeling, this is why we're feeling this, and this is why we're feeling it as like a collective thing as opposed to like let me tell a really intricate story about my personal experience and hopefully you understand it, right? Like there are different ways of storytelling in a song and I feel like this one is more about the feeling and a shared sensation, right? Like I was like, oh, I feel this feeling of like like collective euphoria or like celebration as a group. I feel that from the way that the song is produced as opposed to them like having to tell that kind of feeling of celebration in the lyrical content, even though it does mirror it so that it's all like on topic. But it's more about how does the song make you feel and how much fun is it in like the atmosphere of performance. I want to see a live performance of. I don't know if there will be one for this yet that's like out there for me to see because the album's pretty new, but I want to see because like the energy of it is like, phenomenal. I like that. I will show you my sincerity. Ooh. Oh, I love that. I love like the stutter of it and then it builds up and like drops at like a different part. I know that's like not like new or innovative or anything, but I love it. I love that little shake up at the end of the feeling of it because we're all kind of like there, you know, because it does have this feeling of that collective celebration that we're all like ready, you know, to like kind of jump in to the chorus and be part of it. And they switch it up a little bit, but enough that you can follow that like build up into when you're like gonna join in to the chorus, right? I like that. It's a way to kind of count us in. I always love the ad-libs. Aww. There'll be no me without you. That's cute. Ooh, good way to kind of let it fade out. Interesting. I also really liked the one that it was like, even if it's nonsensical, like that feeling of let's just lose ourselves in this feeling. And that's kind of what I was getting before is like, it only makes sense, the kind of feeling that they're describing in that collective sense. And it really makes me think of like a concert atmosphere, because concerts are kind of crazy. Like if you've ever been to a concert, you understand what I mean. You enter a concert as one type of person, and then once the concert starts, you have become a different person. And when you leave, you don't fully remember it. It's more of just the feeling that you had. You get the vibe of being in the concert, but like you don't fully have memories of it, if that makes sense. At least that's my experience, is that like the moment that the concert starts, you totally have to commit to it. Concerts are not fun unless you're fully in it, at least in my experience. And I've never had it where I haven't been into it. Even if it's like an opening act that I'm like not super into, I'm into it while it's happening. You know, like in the moment, I love that band, even though I did not know who they were like 2 minutes ago. And that's just like the feeling that you get in that moment. And I feel like that's kind of what this song is embodying, is like, let us just have our own little bubble of like, you know, twice and once at a concert, but we're enjoying music and enjoying that atmosphere of being together, and let's just be in that bubble. And I think of it especially like narratively, thinking that we have 2 songs before this on the album, and we start with Set Me Free, which is a very, very much of a song of like, I don't care what other people think anymore. You know, I'm gonna do what is me. And we had another line in this song about like sincerity and things like that, of them just wanting to be themselves. And then you transition to a song like this, that's just more in the middle of the album, where it's like, okay, this is a song for once. This is a song for people who like our music, and let's just embody the feeling that we have when we get to be together in our own little bubble, and nothing else really matters, right? So I feel like this is a song I'm going to have to come back to and listen to more and more, because the production on it was just doing things that made my brain short circuit a little bit. But let's check out the next song though. I'm curious what the rest of the album is going to be, because I feel like those first 3 songs are just so different that I have absolutely no idea where this is going. Where are we going with this one? That's my big question. No. I was not expecting, what, like a fret slide into the song? Okay. I was not expecting the more rockier sound. I was not expecting for anyone to tell me that we would be great together, but okay. We'd be wonderful. Okay. I mean, sure. I mean, if they say so. I'm a little bit flustered, because rock music, for those who don't know, rock music is like my go-to, right? So, okay, jazz music is like probably my favorite genre in general. I don't know, it's the romantic in me, I guess. I melt when I listen to jazz music. But rock music is like soul food for me. Like, rock music is where I feel heard, or express myself, or get out all of the energy in me. I just vibe with it a lot. It's my go-to. If I'm gonna put on a playlist, it's gonna have rock music in it. So having the rockier sound from that, which is not something that I've heard up to this point, and I don't think even in the guide where there were a bunch of snippets, I heard something that was quite like this. So I'm a little bit taken aback. I'm a little bit flustered. They're saying lots of things that I'm like, I mean, who am I to argue? Who am I to argue? I love the guitar. I mean, she's not saying lies. Also true. I don't know about that one. Wait. I love hearing their voices in this, because if you had told me, from what I've heard so far of Twice, that they were going to do something more rock and roll, I would have gone, I don't think so. Not that they couldn't, but I would not have guessed that. I'd be like, no, that doesn't seem like their vibe. And especially with the vocals that I've heard so far, which by the way is like a spectrum because I've heard stuff like earlier in their career and then I've heard stuff later in their career. So obviously they're doing different things and they're going to sound different because there's been almost like what? It's been 8 years since they debuted. So their voices are going to be different. They're going to be inspired by different things. I love getting to hear this very different tone in their voice. Like it's still super bright, but there's like some grit to it. They're putting like little like cries where they're kind of tightening, but it's not like kind of like the emotional kind of cries that you would hear in maybe like a ballad or something like that. It's more of that like rock kind of grittier sound. See, I was like Set Me Free is gonna be like my favorite song on this album, and now I'm like, I don't know, this one is a contender. I love her voice. I was not expecting that cadence with the like auto-tune on it as well. I'm a little bit too excited about this song. Maybe it's because the previous song fried my brain a little bit, but the giddiness that I feel about this particular track like 40 seconds in is actually gonna be a problem. I love everything about it. Like that really heavy drum. Oh, it got better. I don't know what to do with this song. There's so much simple like production on this, and then it like kind of built up with those vocalizations. I love the like fret slide that's in. Anyone who's been watching my videos for a while knows that I am a sucker for a fret slide. I think it's the 90s baby in me, but a fret slide, just like, is it cheesy? Yes. Is it over the top? Yes. Am I here for it every single time? Absolutely. I don't have proper words because this song is like, it's making me too happy. I didn't know it would get better. Like layered vocalizations. I think it is. I think it is your fault. I like how it's like your mind is completely seized. Yes, yes. That is what is happening. That is the feeling that I'm having right now because it's so simplistic in terms of like the production. They're not doing like a ton of things, being super like flowery with the lyrical content. Again, it's translated, so there's probably nuance lost. But like there's so much simplicity to it, but there's so much confidence to it. And it is like, I don't know, it's like assertive like we've seen in previous stuff by them, but there's this swagger to like rock music, right? Like there's this feeling of confidence and almost like a rebel attitude that is kind of inherent in the persona of rock music. And I love that there's all of that confidence coming out that we saw previously in the songs, and it's just like them being like a little bit seductive, a little bit rebel in their sound, but also like just overflowing with confidence. And I'm kind of shaking because that's where I'm at. It had to be Dahyun too in that part. I feel like this isn't going to be much of a reaction because I don't have words. This has rendered me speechless. I love how we did like 2 guitars too. And it slows down. Okay, it's just it's unfair of them to give that vocalization part to Junghyun. Junghyun? I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I apologize, but I love her voice. I just ever since I listened to Moonlight Sunrise, I was like, her voice, I don't know what it is. And I think it's because she's got, I don't know, like a ton of like power behind her like mix voice, but also I don't know, there's something about like her tone that she naturally has that I just love. And not to say they aren't all phenomenal, but I think I might have a little bit of a voice crush on her. It's just like my body gets shivers when she sings, and it's involuntary, but here we are. See, this is just like drums and like really muted guitar, but it's so effective. And this blast of sound. Oh, I love that cheer. Ugh. I feel like I don't have anything constructive to say except that this is like everything I've ever wanted. Like it's too much. It's like they read my brain and they made a checklist of all of the things that would make a perfect song for me, and then they were like, why don't we just do the whole list in one song? Like, let's just check it all off. Why not? I think that the only thing that would like make this song too much would just like put me into like an incoherent state more than I already am, would be if there was just an unbelievable bass line in it. Now, we are not finished. I feel like that's not going to happen with the minimal production that we're having, and they really pull it off with like the production side of things with this just like really forward drum of some kind. And I mean, just putting in that like really powerful belt note from Gio, and then having the other vocalization in the back of it, like it's just this huge wall of sound. And I love that they have like just the vocalization, because it's almost like, I don't know, like a victory cry, right? Like it has that feeling. Like that would be so much fun in, again, like in a stadium. I was just thinking with the kind of like cheer that they did in this part with the like, don't blame it on me, and you like that cheer on the me part would be so much fun in a crowd. But then having that vocalization where you just have like the whole stadium singing that part, the energy of that would be just fantastic. I love that all of these songs feel like they can fill a stadium really well, and that they feel like interactive. And I'm like, oh, I would love to see this live. I'd love to be in a crowd when they were doing this live, because I love that feeling. And especially since this album started so strong with Set Me Free, and it really is them just saying, screw it, we're gonna be ourselves, and if you don't like that, get out, is kind of the attitude that they have. It makes me feel like it's like, all right, we had that song, if you don't like us, get out. Everyone who's left, you're fans, let's have some fun, right? Like that's what this album feels like so far, and I adore that. Like, does it have some of the like, you know, super complex storylines interweaving with it that are in some other albums, and maybe in some other Twice albums? No, not so far from what I'm getting, but it doesn't have to, because that's not what they're trying to do. They're like, let's have some fun together, because we're in our bubble, we're having a fun time, and if you don't like it, get out. That's their vibe in this, and I love that. This song is too good. Like, it's immediately going on a playlist. I'm gonna listen to it every day. Like, sure, just keep ad-libbing. I feel like I need a minute. I literally do not have words. I do not have coherent thoughts for how much I love that song. It is perfect. If you think otherwise, I do not want to have a conversation, okay? You can think whatever you want. You can have whatever opinions you want. but I don't want you ruining my vibe. So you can take this opinion somewhere else, because this song is everything that I would have wanted. A wonderful surprise, nothing like I would have expected from them, and I am just so happy. I am so happy. I'm kind of upset that this is buried in the middle of an album, because I want everyone to hear it. I'm gonna make everyone listen to it. I'm gonna go around and force people so they understand how much I love this song. That's how I'm feeling right now. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna like annoy so many people at work. That's what, okay, we need to move on, because I could just sit here and listen to this whole thing again, but we have other songs to get to. I have absolutely no idea what this is gonna be. Like, the different sounds on this album are actually stunning. Like, the way that they're like, let's just do a little bit of everything. I have no idea what this is gonna be. Because for some reason I thought with the title of the last one that it would be maybe a little bit slower, and that is not what we got. This makes me think maybe slower, because a wallflower is someone who is like not the center of attention, right? It's someone who like wants to blend into the background. So it would make me think that it would be maybe a little bit less in your face with the kind of tone of it, but I really don't know. I don't know if we're gonna get that like tonal shift.
무슨 생각하니? 여기 네 eyes. 너를 감싸며 한
Even though they look me in the eyes lyric.
어색한 표정. What's on your mind? 꺼내게 될 거야 너의
At the moment, just you is in my head. That's all I got right now. Wait. There's so many little things, like little synths in the background. This is definitely less, I think, I don't know, like, because I feel like the last song it was simplistic in like, it was minimal in its production. So like, even though this one I feel like maybe has some more like layers in the production to it than that one, it does have a more mellow feeling to it, which I think fits. But from what I'm getting from the lyrics, this isn't about them being wallflowers. It's like them kind of coaxing someone out of that. You know, someone else is a wallflower and they're like, let me kind of bring you into this kind of confidence, like get you away from being blended in the background, and let's like actually, you know, let you be your genuine self too, which I think is an interesting story with them kind of coming to terms with their own confidence and being themselves, and then transitioning to like kind of that collective fun, like I was saying before, of like it feeling like a whole group of people kind of embracing the feeling of just kind of getting lost in each other's energy. And then this one kind of being like, okay, now be your own person. Like, who are you as an individual? Which I like, that kind of like passing off that confidence that they're like, okay, I found mine. Let's find yours. Let's do this together.
어지럽게 너를 흔들지 숨겨왔던 맘을 훔치지 Dance on me, dance on me Wallflower 숨이 가빠진 이미 반응하는 빨라진 조짐 Somewhere tonight is meant to be Dance on me, dance on me
Ooh, okay. There's so many interesting cadence choices in their vocals on these songs that I'm just like finding fascinating as like, I don't know, someone who likes music and someone who has at least some experience with vocals. I just like, they're making so many interesting choices, and I love that part where they have like kind of the humming and they open up into that really big wide ah sound. It's a huge contrast between that opened ah vowel and that closed humming sound, which is just really cool from like a sonic side of things. With that like heavier like beat coming in too. More clock imagery too. it's so interesting that they have like certain imagery that they're pulling from like previous lyrics and they're kind of reinventing it in this context because like I was saying it has that feeling of like passing off the confidence, right, of them like telling their story of like this is how I feel, this is how I've come to terms with who I am and being okay with that and having that be enough without needing other people's approval of who I am, and then using that imagery again but to empower someone else. So it's like, how do we pass on that feeling to someone else? And it's just like it's such a, I don't know, like lower vibe to the feeling of the song. So it's almost like seductive, but not necessarily in like a sexual sense, because that's not what I'm getting from it, but like seductive in a like getting lost in the moment feeling. And that's kind of like what they're encouraging, is like, this whole album up to this point really feels like a let's just be in our vibes right now. Like whatever we're feeling right now in this moment while we're together, let's just feel that. And like I said, like in our bubble, the rest of the world doesn't matter. All of the people who have criticisms, all the people who have thoughts and opinions on you and us, they are left outside. What are you feeling right now? Let yourself feel it and be whatever that feeling is. Whoever you are in that moment, just be that person, because no one here is going to judge you. And I feel like this is kind of like fully giving permission for like people to be individuals and still getting lost in that feeling, right? Because it isn't like a collective feeling anymore. This doesn't have that kind of like stadium feeling I was getting for the last couple of songs. It's like, who are you in this moment? Don't think about the future. Don't agonize about the past. Who are you right now? And just feel it. Let it, seduce you into, just being in this moment. That's what I'm getting from it so far. Butterflies do a transformation, so didn't we have that in one of the music videos too? Moonlight Sunrise, didn't they have the butterfly imagery in that? I just feel like this song is like really tying together a lot of the different things that have been set up with the other songs. And it's like in this moment where they're like, now your turn, is like tying up a lot of those loose ends, which I love. This is such an interesting vocal choice and I love it. See, like nobody but you, right? Like that feeling of like it's just you and me, right? Like that's the kind of feeling that I'm getting from this song, is like it's just you and me. You care about me, I care about you. Neither of us is here to judge the other. Let's just live in the moment. I find that so fascinating after like all of these songs of like them kind of finding their empowerment, then kind of a collective empowerment. Like we have like kind of two songs that are like them kind of being in their own confidence. Then we have two songs that are like a collective confidence in like the middle of the album. And then now we're shifting into like what is the listener's feeling, right? This is such a like good vibe album. Like it is so different sonically with each of the songs, but also I feel like I could just listen to this, nothing else, just like being by myself, listening to this album and just let myself go through all the feelings. I would never think to put that kind of humming sound for singing Flower. Ad libs are always so good. You keep just ending so abruptly. Hang on. I don't want it to be over. So interesting that they kind of ended on like just the vocal because it feels like it's the whole song is kind of like dance with me and like I'll leave you in the rhythm and that kind of a thing is kind of like getting lost in the moment like I was saying and it, for musicians that's music is like expression, right? I feel like people who make music do it because it's the way that they feel most comfortable expressing everything about themselves. It's like where they can be vulnerable and it feels safe for them to do it in that format. Whereas like other people where it's not their thing to express themselves in music, that's not where they're at, right? And for people who enjoy music, like me, listening to it, it's also when you're like you're most vulnerable. It's a safe vulnerability, right? Like I'm sure that people watching this video also have songs where when you feel at your most vulnerable, you have like certain songs or certain albums that you go to because it feels safe to feel your feelings while listening to those songs. And this is very much kind of playing off of that idea, I feel like, where it's like let yourself be vulnerable and let yourself be genuinely who you are because this is a safe place, and then it cuts out all that production and it's just the vocals at the end, which I think is really interesting because it's like, I don't know, even though it can be very like therapeutic to have music where you can kind of let yourself be vulnerable, you can't like bottle everything up and only express it when you're like I was saying like alone in your room listening to an album. You have to let yourself feel those things and be yourself in all kinds of contexts in your life, just going about your life. So I find it very interesting from like a narrative standpoint to have the music cut out of like, eventually you're gonna have to do this on your own without the music. We'll be here, we'll back you up, but you're gonna have to do it on your own. I am so curious what the last song is gonna be. Like story-wise, sonically, if it's gonna stick with the kind of pairs that we're kind of doing of like 2 songs about their empowerment, 2 songs about kind of collective empowerment, and then 2 songs about kind of individual empowerment, because that's the vibe I'm getting so far. That's my prediction. I may be wrong though. I'm a little bit sad that this album is coming to an end, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Nope. I was not expecting that like really dry sounding guitar and just hitting me with the beautiful vocalizations immediately. I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I'm already like, be kind to me.
지겨운 레퍼토리 반복되는 conflict 시작은 좋았던 너와 나 짧고 강한 설렘
All those vocals in the back.
부질없는 거짓말에 지쳐 Differences between you and me 앞으로도 달라질 건 없어 흩어지는
No! I was just like, oh, that's such an interesting cadence, and then it like all went out. Okay. The production choices on this, I can't get over it. The vocal choices, the choices of the melodies that they're singing are so interesting to me. Like, I feel like I'm going to just listen to this album so many times just to figure out the vocal cadences. They don't follow a pattern that I would expect from these kinds of songs, and I love it. I love that it's so different. I love that it's interesting, and I love that they can do it, right? Like they're such good vocalists that they can do these really, I don't know, like their vocals are so good in this. Like obviously they're very good singers, but the choice of the vocals that they're doing is so good. Like it's a low-key flex for like the whole album of them just showing off how good they are. They have so much agility in their vocals that I'm just, the vocal nerd in me is so happy. The music nerd in me is so happy, but like as someone who had to like had to study like vocal patterns all the time in school, this makes my brain purr, and that is just, oh, it's so good. Okay.
부질없는 거짓말에 지쳐 Differences between you and me 앞으로도 달라질 건 없어 흩어지는 네 모션 점점 멀어지는 걸
Oh, they kept it slow. Ooh. Oh, I love that. I love how they kept it slow with the chorus, But like, okay, this feels like, and hear me out for this whole thing, it feels like a breakup song, but not a breakup song, okay? I'm not getting a romantic breakup. It feels like they're kind of taking that formula and then they're transposing it into like a kind of fake love scenario outside of that, right? Because we've had all of this confidence throughout the rest of the album where it's like, I'm fine with me, and we've talked about like people who criticize them and people who doubt them, and then we've had kind of the collective love of them just being like, let's just be with the people who love us, you know, with their fans, with once, and let's just kind of live in our bubble, and then let's encourage them to be their own people. And then this one feels like kind of like a breakup with people who say that they love them but maybe don't, you know, and that could be in a lot of different ways, right? Because they're very popular, right? They're an extremely popular group and they've done a lot of things to like prove how successful and talented they are. So I am sure that there are lots of people who like to say that they love them when really they're just doing it for the clout or they want something, right? I'm sure that has happened so many times over their career as they've gotten more popular. And I'm sure there's even some people who doubted them at the beginning that were suddenly very interested in their careers later on after they were super successful, because we all know those fake people, especially when they think that they can get something, right? So I think that this is kind of like a breakup song with that, right? Of like, I don't need people who are just going to, you know, say they love me when they don't. I don't need that energy in my life, right? Like that, the kind of crazy stupid love of like people who are going to kind of, you know, like, you know, it's conditional, right? And that's the issue, is that it's not just conditional, it's transactional, right? It's like, if I show love and support for you, you should give me something in return. And that's not love, okay? If it's a transaction, it's not love. And that is a super, super important thing to keep in mind. They don't owe you anything just because you love them. That's not how it works. So I think that that's kind of where this song is going, of like, I have all this confidence now, I don't care about people criticizing me, but I also don't care if people are sitting there saying, you know, having this two-faced conversation with me of how they say that they love me, but I remember a time when they were one of those critics, or saying they love me, but just saying it doesn't prove it, right? Like, you can say you love someone all you want, but it doesn't prove that you actually feel that way. So I think that that's kind of the vibe that this song has. Well, kind of like, you know, again, like in the formula of like a normal like breakup song from a romantic sense. See, it's like you don't have sincerity, right? And it's like that feeling of like, even this is like, I can't understand why you're still the same, right? Like, I think that that's kind of the same feeling of like even though you're saying you love me now, you're still a critic, right? Like, you're still someone who is doubting me like you were at the beginning. Now you're just saying that you love me, but you're still the same person, right? Like, it's that feeling of like, you're still the same person you were before, where you were judging me and you were saying awful things, or you were doubting me, as you are now. It's just now you can get something from me. So it's different. It's that feeling of like two-sidedness that someone has, where they like switch, right? They're talking about how someone could like change really suddenly. Like, it's that feeling, right? Because the moment that they can't get something from you, they change, right? If love isn't working to get what they want, they're going to change tactics. That's the way that it always is. Don't trust those people. Red flags all over with those people. Yeah, you're so unpredictable. Jihyo always gives like 110%, and like, she doesn't have to, but I'm so happy that she does. You know what I mean? Like, she is always giving it. Not that any of the other members aren't, but she's like always giving you everything that you would need. She's so good. They're all so good. Like, she didn't have to go that hard, but she did. Ooh, that too, of like, in the future too, nothing changes, right? It's like, you're still the same. Like, you can sit here and you can say all of the kind words that you want, have all of the kind of honeyed phrases that you want, but you're still the same person you were then. You're still the same person now, and you'll be the same person in the future because you're never going to change the way that you feel about me because you don't actually care. That's not what's happened here. I love that confidence and the fact that they're kind of doing all of these kind of up and down cadences. Like, it has this kind of almost like seesaw feeling to it in the way that they're singing, which fits with kind of the imagery they're having of this up and down, right? Of like, you know, we keep going back and forth, like you keep being cold, you keep being unpredictable, you keep shifting, but you're still the same person. Like, your attitude is just changing towards me because you're putting on this facade, and it's not worth it, right? Like, you're not actually getting any love out of this relationship. So like, why put in all this energy? Did I go back just for that? Maybe. Oh, the backing vocal. It's a bop though. Like, I want to sing along, but you're not here to hear me sing. See, I said fake love. See, that's what this is. It's like, it's not real, right? And the thing is that people think because they say they love you, that means that they're entitled to something. And they're not. You keep that in mind, okay? Advice from someone who's only in their mid-20s and hasn't had a lot of life experience, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But I feel like I've nailed it on this one, okay? Just because someone says they love you does not mean that they are entitled to anything from you. Remember that, okay? I know that this might make me seem like a terrible person, but hear me out. Love is not unconditional. I know, all of the romantics are going to be up in arms because I said that, but hear me out. Unconditional love means that under no circumstances is there a reason for why you can take your love back from someone. I do not believe that should be true, okay? I don't care how much you love them to begin with. I don't care if they're their family, their friends that you've had forever, it's a relationship that you've been in forever, whatever it is. If that person thinks that their love is transactional, that they are entitled to something from you because they say they love you, they don't love you, and you can take your love back, okay? Remember that. Twice is agreeing with me. This is your pep talk, okay? No one deserves unconditional love, okay? Always have conditions to it, because just trust me, okay? They have to respect you, and they have to actually love you, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. All of the vocals in the back, though. See, she doesn't have to go that hard, but she does. Oh, the way that the vocal faded. Oh, I love that, because it's like, I'll be gone, right? And then the vocal fades out. It's like literally she's gone, right? Like she's faded out into the distance. She's walked away. It's over. I love that. There's like this feeling of like triumph with that like belted note, and then it fades. I love that. So many good vocal choices in this song. It's super catchy though. I'm trying really hard not to sing along. Oh, their ad-libs are so good. Oh, they end so abruptly. I also really like where they said like their memories are like broken was one of the lyrics, and I love the imagery of that, because it's almost like at the time there was probably a time when you believed this person, right? Like this fake love that was happening. You only see it as love because at one time you believed it, right? So the feeling of like looking back at memories and saying, hang on, actually that wasn't love. Like that's not what that was. I feel like this song is like hitting on like some of my own experiences with people and, you know, people pretending to care more than they do, because it is kind of this crazy moment when you look back on all of these different moments that you used to see with like these rose-colored glasses of, you know, this person caring about you, and then you actually look at it in hindsight, maybe when you've already walked away, maybe when you've just kind of had like a realization about whatever the relationship is, and that can be platonic, romantic, familial, whatever it is, and you actually look at it and you go, hang on, that wasn't love. Like this whole time I thought that this person loved and cared about me, and that's actually not what it was. It's like this mind-blowing moment because it's like your whole perspective shifts, and it breaks those memories because you used to see them as these wonderful things. They even talked about it like getting colder, right? Is like part of that is like the mood swings, right? You say like someone turns cold on you, it kind of fits with those lyrics, but it's also that feeling of like they used to be these warm, fond memories because you thought that it was love, and then now that you don't, it has this bitter coldness to it, right? Like it stings to think about it because you can't see it in the same way anymore. You know, it's almost like those illusions, right? Where like you see kind of like chaos of the image and then it snaps into focus and you kind of like see through the illusion that you're looking at. Like you can't unsee it after that point. So it's like the same thing with this. And like I feel like I'm kind of projecting a lot of heaviness onto it, but I feel like it's such a fun, like upbeat song. I love all of the different vocal melodies that they put on it and kind of like the narrative imagery in the vocals. But I also feel like it hit me a little bit harder. Like it's a little bit closer to home where I'm just like, I'm still a little bit bitter about that other time. But I think it's a great way to end the song of like kind of like a breakup song, like I said, but it being like breaking up with, you know, fake people in your life, right? Because now you have all this confidence and people can't control you the way that they used to. And people get bitter about that when they feel like they can't manipulate you anymore and they're used to being able to get their way. And you need to just cut those people out of your life, okay? I didn't mean to turn this into like a life advice kind of video, but if you resonate with any of this, take their advice and walk away, okay? Be gone. I definitely need to listen to this album like at least a dozen more times. That's like where I'm at, you know? Because I'm like, I feel like there were so many interesting choices with this album, with production, with the different kinds of genres that they were putting into it, with the vocal melodies that they were choosing. I feel like there's so many things that like the more I listen to it, I'm gonna like find little things and little details that are just going to like shift my perspective on the songs. Like it's so good. Like I cannot explain to you how much Blame It On Me is gonna like be a soundtrack to this year for me. Like that song is gonna get so many plays on like every streaming service because of me, and it's gonna be a problem. Like it's gonna be an obsession. I can feel it already. And I feel like Crazy Stupid Love is gonna be a like therapeutic song. Like I'm gonna listen to those songs a few times while I'm just like laying in my bed and I'm gonna be vibing to it, but I'm also gonna be like still a little bit bitter about that, you know, like, but it's okay because we vibing and we're out of that situation. So it's all good, you know? So I'm so happy that this was like my first Twice album. I love how different all the songs were. Definitely gonna have to listen to it all the way through many times to come, and I'm so excited now to be digging even more into Twice's music. Like you cannot understand how happy I am to be getting to more album listens. So I hope you enjoyed listening to that along with me. You can click this playlist to go and see my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so you miss next time I post a Twice reaction, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.